You know, some of the smartest enterprise companies out there are facing this hidden problem. Their biggest, most important deals are hitting a wall. They're slowing down, stalling out, and nobody can quite figure out why. The product is great, the sales team is top-notch, but something is just not landing. Today, we're going to diagnose that exact problem.
And that right there, that's the core of it. We're operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of how the modern enterprise buyer thinks. The problem isn't the amazing product you've built, it's the lack of credible evidence that it actually delivers results for customers, just like the one you're pitching. This isn't a sales problem, it's a proof problem.
All right, so here's our plan. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, we'll dig into why trust is just fundamentally broken in B2B buying today. Then, we'll tackle the paradox of why your best, happiest clients go silent. After that, I'll introduce a completely new framework for thinking about proof, show you how to build a system to generate it, and finally, we'll look at the real, compounding cost of doing nothing.
Let's start with the new reality of the market, because the ground is completely shifted under our feet. Every single enterprise buyer you talk to today is carrying the baggage of failed projects and oversold promises. The buying environment has changed for good, and it's not going back.
Now, think about what this really means. 94% of buying groups are using AI and other tools to research vendors and create their shortlist before they ever even think about talking to a sales rep. The game is literally being won or lost before you even know you're playing.
And it's not just that they're informed, they're deeply skeptical. After years of buying into big visions, 87% have fundamentally changed how they buy. They now demand hard, verifiable proof. That whole era of buying on a promise, it's over. We are now firmly in the era of buying on proof.
So this leads to this really critical concept, invisible shortlisting. Your buyers are running a silent evaluation. They're out there right now looking at the evidence trail you've left online and comparing you to your competitors. And if that trail is weak, or worse, non-existent, you don't just lose the deal. You get cut from the list before the first conversation is ever scheduled.
This means we have to completely reframe how we think about proof. It's not just a nice-to-have document you pull out in the final stages to help close. No. Proof is now the engine of demand generation. It's what determines if you even get to have that first conversation at all.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, simple, we just need to get more case studies, right? Well, this leads us to the central conflict of this whole problem. The more value you create for a client, the quieter they seem to get.
So why is that? Why do the clients who get these massive, game-changing results with your product so often refuse to go on the record? It's really tempting to chalk this up to a relationship problem, but the truth is, it's something much deeper and much more structural.
The truth is, their silence is a business decision. By talking about you, they might be giving away their secret weapon to competitors. It could expose their operational playbook. It might hurt their negotiating power in the future, or just flat out violate a corporate PR policy. Their silence isn't a slight. It's actually a signal that you've become a mission-critical part of their competitive advantage.
And this is the big reframe. This is the intellectual pivot you have to make. You have to stop fighting this constraint. Stop trying to fix the relationship. Instead, you need to accept their silence as a permanent feature of the market and start designing your proof strategy around it.
So how do we actually do that? Well, we start by getting way more sophisticated about what proof even means. We've got to break out of this black and white thinking where we either have a perfect, logo-approved case study or we have nothing. An effective way to think about this is a 5-tier hierarchy. Now, Tier 1, the classic attributed case study. That's the gold standard. It's also basically a unicorn. All the way down at the bottom is Tier 5, silence. And that's the lethal default state where most companies are stuck, just waiting for a Tier 1 that's probably never going to come.
But here's the secret. The real opportunity, the place where you can create momentum right now, is in Tiers 2 and 3. I'm talking about things like ghosted authority quotes and composite narratives. This is proof you can generate and start using this week. And remember this, imperfect available proof will beat perfect absent proof every single time.
Here is a perfect example of Tier 2 proof in action, a ghosted authority quote. Now, let's break down why this works so well even without a name. It gives you role credibility, the CFO. It gives you a scale indicator, an $800 million company. It provides a specific hard metric, cutting the process from 12 days down to 6. And it shows a real human board-level impact. See, it's the specificity that transfers the credibility, not the logo.
Okay, so understanding the hierarchy,
That's the first step. The next and most important step is to build a system to put it into action. We have to get away from the last-minute reactive scramble for proof and move toward a proactive, systematic proof engine.
A real proof engine has 5 core components. First, you embed the capture of proof points right into your delivery and success processes. Second, you create one centralized library for all your proof assets. Third, you normalize the use of unattributed proof across your entire go-to-market team. Fourth, you run quarterly sprints focused solely on generating new assets. And finally, you track it all with a proof health scorecard. This is an operating system, not a one-off project.
And the best part? You can get this started immediately. This is not some 6-month strategic overhaul. On day 1, you do a quick audit of your recent deals and what assets you already have. On day 2, you run a sprint to create 3 ghosted quotes, 1 composite story, and 1 simple metrics sheet. Day 3, you get it into the hands of your sales team and train them. It's a tactical 48-hour plan to get you from 0 to 1.
Now, if the strategic upside of building this engine isn't compelling enough, let's talk about the alternative. Let's quantify the real compounding cost of just staying where you are, of maintaining a proof deficit. Because doing nothing, that's a choice, and it has very steep consequences.
A proof gap isn't some abstract concept. It shows up on your P&L. It directly leads to longer sales cycles. It crushes your pricing power, forcing you to compete on discounts. It drives up your customer acquisition cost, because every single deal is a heavy lift. It cripples your ability to enter new markets. And maybe most importantly, it causes your best salespeople to leave, because A players will not stick around to lose deals they know they should be winning.
Ultimately, how you approach this is a signal of leadership to your team, to your board, to the market. The blocked leader is defined by the constraint. They say, our clients just won't let us. The strategic leader, on the other hand, says, we built a system to design around the constraint, and here are the results. One is simply an operator. The other is an architect. So, I'll leave you with the question, and I want you to ask it of yourself and of your team with total honesty. If a key prospect asked you for 3 relevant examples of success, right now, today, what would you actually be able to show them? If the answer is nothing, or something old, or we'd have to scramble to find something, then you know exactly what your top priority needs to be this week.
Because the choice here is incredibly clear, and both paths have their own momentum. When you start building a proof engine, you create velocity that compounds over time, making every single deal after that a little bit easier. But silence also compounds, making every deal a little bit harder, a little bit longer, until you finally hit a wall. The choice of which dynamic you build is entirely yours.